Hello, welcome to episode 184 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, 1986's She's Gotta Have It, directed by Spike Lee. I think the only Spike Lee film I've seen is 25th Hour, which I really liked, and it's been many years since I've seen it, but I don't think that's really indicative of a true Spike Lee joint, so to speak. But I don't know. Really have little experience with the director. And this is his first feature film, and you can tell that it's one of those low-budget affairs that kick-started a career of a director who went on to make many films. And I know that there's another film of his in the book too that was released in the 80s, I forget what it was called now, but that's supposed to be quite an influential film as well. She's Gotta Have It follows a girl called Nola, who has three boyfriends, or three lovers I should say, who all have different traits, different personalities, and she's kind of stringing them all along at the same time. She's very transparent about this, they all know about the other two guys, but she very much is, you know, seeing these three guys at the same time. And there's an interesting line towards the end where one of them says, I feel like she wasn't seeing three of us as three separate entities. She saw all three of us as this one organism, you know, this kind of six-armed, three-penised, you know, one whole, who she would, you know, get different things from. And the three characters have very distinctly defined characteristics. You know, there's one who's very obsessed with image and is very muscular and toned, and he also has quite an upper-class feel about him. He very much, you know, he always says, I only see the finest women, you know. And then you have a guy who is, by all accounts, the kind of typical good guy, like the guy who loves the woman and will do anything for her and is very kind and sensitive and everything like that. And then we have the character played by Spike Lee, the director, who is just this off-the-wall kind of eccentric, funny guy, you know. He's just constantly quipping, constantly throwing jokes out there. He makes her laugh. That's his kind of purpose and so on. And the thing that kind of brings the film down for me is the acting. The acting isn't very good. It's not bad, but it's not very good. A lot of times it feels like someone reading lines. There isn't a lot of convincing performances in there, but the spirit of it really carries it along, I felt like, and I really did enjoy it quite a bit. Like a few of Spike Lee's performances in the certain segments of the film, I was like, eesh. He's no actor, you know, but there are some scenes, especially when it's just him and Nola, the girl, and they're kind of just bouncing off each other and he's making her laugh, are really, like, authentic and snappy and fun to watch, and he had some really funny lines. Like, I laughed out loud really big at one line in the film. Anyway, I love the way the film looked. It looks stunning, shot in black and white film, and there's an interesting color sequence, which is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of reference to The Wizard of Oz, but I quite like that. But the film was shot really well. I mean, I guess it's just that thing of film looking so gorgeous, and it probably being shot on kind of a lower quality black and white stock, it just has that kind of, I don't know, like a real kind of raw feeling to it that I really enjoy. And I love the way Spike Lee directed this. Even if the acting isn't up to scratch, I loved his flair for telling the story. It's almost documentary style, where the camera will come up to the characters who are friends or, you know, lovers of Nola, and they will look at the camera and they'll say, well, you know, this is what I think about her. It's almost like a documentary, but it's not. It's still within this weird kind of narrative that he's created. I definitely feel like he cribbed some stuff from Woody Allen. There's definitely that feeling there. It does feel slightly derivative of Woody Allen's style as far as breaking the fourth wall, as opposed to being, you know, documentary style. And I love that opening shot where it pans in on the bed and she wakes up and looks at the camera, and I was thinking, oh, she's looking at the camera, that's a bit, you know, bit amateurish. And then she starts talking to the camera, like, okay, so this is kind of the deal. And I love the way the editing played into that. I really enjoyed the way this was directed. Really enjoyable film. I enjoyed it quite a lot. At the end, they showed all the cast members kind of doing the slate before a take and saying their name and kind of just funny on-set stuff, and I thought that was really endearing too. This is just a funny movie, definitely a graphic movie in some sense. It's not really graphic, but there's a lot of sex in it and things like that, and it deals with sex in a very upfront way, which I kind of liked, and it wasn't too over the top. There's one scene which is quasi kind of almost rape, but I like that they at least referenced that in conversation later on. It wasn't really, but it was quite a shocking moment. But I like how the characters don't feel neatly wrapped up in a movie narrative sense. You know, we get into Nola's kind of psychology of why she's with these three guys, and whether she can settle down and just be with one guy and you know, adhere to that idea of monogamy. But the finale to the film doesn't really tie up any loose end. It kind of puts you back to the beginning in a way, and I like that. It felt authentic, it felt true to the character. I felt like it would have been a bit of a cheat to have her kind of go, okay, I've seen the error of my ways, I'm just gonna stay with one guy and be nice and normal. It kind of stayed true to her character, who was a bit more freewheeling and, you know, open in her life. And so I liked that it was, like I say, not tied up and kind of put into a box that you would expect it to be at the end of the film. It was all building to this conclusion. Is she going to just, you know, pick a guy and stick with him? Or is she going to, you know, I mean, she eventually, well, I'm not going to spoil too much about the film. I already kind of have, I guess, but overall I really liked it. It was a really good film. Is it a film you should see before you die? I'm going to say no. You know, I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was great. I'm really looking forward to seeing his next film that's in the book. I think it's Do the Right Thing. I'm really intrigued to see if with better actors, because I looked at the like IMDb pages of the actors who appear in this, and they didn't really do much after this, or if they did, it was stuff I'd never heard of. So, you know, it kind of shows that you don't have the best actors for this project. And obviously, being low budget, you know, where's he going to get the actors from? But I'm intrigued to see where, with Do the Right Thing, maybe there's better actors in it, and maybe his style of directing, and of course, you know, right, I mean, he wrote the film, he edited it, he directed it, so I have quite a respect for that, because I love, you know, directors who have that kind of hands-on approach where they write it, they direct it, they edit it, they author it. So yeah, it impressed me very much as a film, but the acting really did bring it down. But overall, I still really enjoyed it, and would definitely go back and watch it again. There's a real sense of comedic timing in the film that I really enjoyed. I liked the cutaway stuff with all the characters talking to the camera. It was playful, it was fun, it didn't feel too cliched. Again, a little bit derivative of Woody Allen, but it's its own thing at the same time. And I like the Brooklyn setting. I mean, you don't see much of it, but there's some really great shots of just the Brooklyn Bridge overhead. I just like that kind of stuff too. So, not quite a film you should see before you die, but a really good film. A really good film that rises above the weaknesses that it has, primarily being the acting. So I'm looking forward to seeing the next Spike Lee film, and that's about it. So thanks for watching. If you've seen the film, let me know your thoughts in it down below, and I'll see you in the next video.